A very good morning to all the students of class 12th political science. And students, welcome back to the online classes here. And as you know very well, we were into the first chapter of your second book, and we have started this chapter, Challenges of Nation Building. We had finished 4 parts already, and in the 4th part we were discussing about integration of princely state. So we had already started this particular topic in the 4th part, but today I had to finish this particular topic, so I am going to do that. But before I start the remaining part of this particular topic, I'm just going to give you a short revision what we had done in the 4th part. So starting with this particular point relating to integration of princely states, because after or before independence we were talking about nation building, and for nation building the very first challenge and important immediate challenge was to integrate the princely state with the Indian Union. How we are going to merge all the princely states with the Indian Union, as there was a huge number of princely states around India, that is 565 princely states. So as we read in the last 4th part, that with the help of and the role of Vallabhbhai Patel, it was very convenient for the Indian Union to merge most of the princely states with the Indian Union. But there were few exceptions I was talking about. Junagadh we had already discussed in that video, and today we will be talking about the exceptions like Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur. So how and what efforts were put together to integrate these states or the princely states into Indian Union. So for the revision, I told you just before the independence it was announced by the British that with the end of the British rule in India, paramount of British crown over princely state, that is 565 princely states, would also lapse. So this means as soon as the powers and the authority of the of the British power will be handed over to the Indian nationalists, and we will get the freedom. After that, they said, and they gave a choice to princely states: they can join India, or they can join Pakistan, or if they want, they can remain as an independent state. So this was the provision put forward for the princely states by the Britishers before the independence. Okay, so thus, according to this provision, which was announced by the British government, thus would legally be independent. That is, now princely states would be legally, according to the law, will be independent and will be free to join. They will be free to join India or Pakistan, or they can remain independent. Because of this announcement or this provision of the British government had put a great challenge in front of the nationalist freedom fighters who were going to take our country forward after the independence. So this was a challenge which could threaten the very existence of United India, as our Constituent Assembly and the founders of the Constituent Assembly and Constitution, or the freedom struggle fighters, they had already decided we are going to have a country in which all the religions, all the people of the various societies, communities, religion will stay together. We will be united. There will be diversity along with unity. Okay, it means there will be unity along with diversity. So this was a challenge or threat to this existence of United India now. So we have also done this is also a revision part. But as I told you, before 15th August 1947, that is before our independence, peaceful negotiations brought almost all princely states. This was an effort of I would say nationalist freedom fighters, and the most important personality was Vallabhbhai Patel, who was very successful and who was successful in bringing all these princely states peacefully with his negotiations and diplomatic manners to Indian Union. So all the maximum of the princely state had merged to Indian Union before 15th August 1947. But as I told you, and they had signed the Instrument of Accession. This was a document according to which they agreed that they are joining the Indian Union. They are merging with Indian Union. I had also shown you the map, the yellow shaded part and the blue shaded part, except Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur. These were the 4 exceptions which did not easily accept and merge, or were easily annexed by the Indian Union. So as according for Junagadh, I told you this matter of Junagadh as a princely state was resolved through a plebiscite. This is a term according to which we mean that the people of Junagadh there was a voting election, and the most of the people supported to join India. So Junagadh was finally integrated with Indian Union. So now today we are going to start about or read about Hyderabad. What was the situation in Hyderabad, and what was the difficulty in annexing Hyderabad or integrating or signing a instrument of accession with Hyderabad to Indian government. So Hyderabad, I would say, as I told you and shown you in the map also, Hyderabad was the largest princely state after the independence and before the independence. This was the state which was the largest if I talk about the area or geographical area, and it was surrounded by entirely. So it was at the center of if I talk about Hyderabad, if you see the map of India, you will locate Hyderabad. It is at the center in the southern part of India. Okay, so all it was covered by the Indian territory from all sides, and it also included some part of. Today maybe these states are separate, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh today. But before the independence, some part of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh was within Hyderabad. Okay, so it was a big princely state. And its ruler, the head, the king and the ruler who used to manage the administration there, he carried the title. He was called Nizam. So you must have heard the Nizam of Hyderabad, and he was one of the world's richest men. So if I'm talking about the independent period, at that particular period of time, this Nawab of Hyderabad was counted among one of the richest men around the world. Okay, so this was one of the big achievements, I would say. Moving forward to the next point in relation to Hyderabad. So this Nizam wanted an independent status. As we know, he was the most richest man. So it is obvious that he must be very powerful as well. He must be having a army or the defense team to support him to protect his princely state from the outside attack. So this Nizam wanted an independent status, as there was a provision and announcement made by the Britishers that all the princely states had the option and their choice. They could join India or they could join Pakistan, or if they wanted to be an independent state, they could be independent. So in that, as I told you, Nizam also wanted to be an independent state for Hyderabad. So he signed the standstill agreement with India in November 1947. This standstill agreement means all the procedures, all the functioning will be the same as it was in the British rule, as Britishers had given them basic autonomy for their internal matters, for their internal administration. In the same way, Hyderabad wanted to be independent and asked and signed a document that is called standstill agreement with India in November 1947. Till they don't decide the exact decision that they want to merge with India or they want to merge with Pakistan, at that particular time they wanted to be independent. So they signed a standstill agreement with government of India in November 1947. So according to the standstill agreement, it means they were not a part of India as well as they were not part of Pakistan. They were independent currently. They had certain internal autonomy as they were having in the Indian British period. So after that, while negotiations were going on, movement of people of Hyderabad against Nizam Room gathered force. So what happened now? As we know, this Nizam was a very powerful man. Okay, he was a, we can say, type of a dictator. We can say like a monarchyship or dictatorship. So he was very oppressive in behavior. We can say very harsh on people. He wanted to control the people. He wanted to show his power and show and control everything according to him. All the powers were in one hand, that is Nizam. So when the negotiations with Indian government were going on of merger of Hyderabad with Indian Union, they signed a standstill agreement. At that particular time, during this negotiation, there started a movement and we can say demonstration or struggle of the people around Hyderabad against, so we can say the people of Hyderabad were against the Nizam's rule. So people gathered the forces and the groups on the streets of Hyderabad against the rule of the Nizam. Okay, so why? Because or mostly the people who were involved in this particular movement against the Nizam's rule, those people were peasantry. These are the labor class basically in relation to the agriculture. Okay, they are and of very low social status. So these people are called peasantry of the low social status related to agricultural labors. So these peasants in the Telangana, this was a region within Hyderabad. The people of Telangana, who were mostly peasants region, in particular, was victim of Nizam's oppressive rule. So these people have faced lot of problems because of the Nizam's oppressive rule. As oppressive rules, we can say a dictator. He was a dictator. He wanted to oppress. He wanted to oppress everyone, suppress everyone. He wanted to show his power. So we can say politically, socially, and economically, the peasants in Telangana were oppressed by the rule of Nizam. So here people got the opportunity to fight for their rights, as there was a negotiation going between Hyderabad and Indian Union. So at that particular moment, all the people around Hyderabad started a movement against Nizam's rule, and as I told you, and many women also rose against the rule of Nizam, and mostly I'm talking about Telangana here, but it was all around Hyderabad where people wanted a freedom, I would say, from the rule of the Nizam. They wanted to merge with Indian Union, where they would have the democratic country where they will get all the basic fundamental rights and opportunities and equality. There would be no discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, etc. So they wanted to merge with India, but he was a very powerful Nawab, as I told you, one of the richest man in the world at that particular time. So it was going to be difficult. Yes, moving forward, now this point, sixth point, the Nizam responded by unleashing. So when Nizam saw that there is a movement and demonstration all over the Hyderabad against his rule, he was disappointed and sad about it, and he was very aggressive, as we know, as he was a powerful man. So what he did, he unleashed, okay, he had unleashed the paramilitary forces. Unleashed means to act in a very violent way. He left all his he ordered all his paramilitary forces, which were called Razakars. His paramilitary forces, which were in Hyderabad in control of Nizam to protect his territory, those paramilitary forces were called Razakars. This is important, can come in 1 marks. You must know the paramilitary name, Razakars. So he unleashed this attack, and the people of these Razakars attacked on the people who were protesting or demonstrating on the streets of Hyderabad. So to balance the situation, to control the situation which was going against the Nizam's rule, these paramilitary forces attacked on the people, I would say, brutally. Here you can see in the 7th point, these paramilitary forces, which were known as Razakars, they murdered people, they maimed, they raped, they looted, and they were doing all these violence against the people and targeting the people who were non-Muslims. As this Nawab was a Muslim, so he was mostly attacking the non-Muslims who were living in Hyderabad. So this was the attack of paramilitary forces on people who are mostly non-Muslims. 8th point is, in September 1948, so that is after the independence. We got independence in August, okay, but this is the situation about September 1948, and we got the independence in 15th August 1947. So Indian Army was ordered when situation went out of control, and the Indian government saw that how people were discriminated, how people were tortured brutally by these paramilitary forces. So here Indian Army was ordered by the central government to handle the situation. It was very important for India to handle this situation, and after independence it was a democratic country where this type of rule was not accepted by the national freedom fighters at all. So by the Constituent Assembly, which was acting as a government at that particular time, order was passed to control the situation. So Indian Army moved in to control the Nizam's forces. Nizam forces means to control paramilitary forces, that is called Razakars. To control them, Indian Army had entered into the scene now. After a few days, the fighting of the Nizam surrenders. So after a few days, this movement kept, this war, or we can say fighting against Nizam forces went on, and finally the Nizam surrendered. Okay, his paramilitary was came controlled and they all surrendered. So in this way Hyderabad joined in India. So it was, we can say, forceful, and after the fighting and war with Nizam forces, finally India was successful in annexing Hyderabad and merging it or integrating it into Indian Union. So this was the story for the merging of or integrating of Hyderabad as a princely state into Indian Union. So next important place as a princely state after independence was Manipur, whose merging or annexion was not easy. So what was the problems here? Few days before independence, the Maharaja, the head here, the ruler was called Maharaja. As in Hyderabad, I told you the ruler was Nizam. In the same way, he was here Maharaja. So in Manipur, before the independence we are talking about, there was a Maharaja of Manipur. His name was Bodha Chandra. Bodha Chandra Singh. He was the Raja of Manipur. He signed the instrument of accession with Indian government. Okay, he agreed to join and integrate with the Indian Union. Okay, so he signed the instrument of accession with Indian government on the assurance, but there was one I would say, yes, there was one choice put forward by this Maharaja for accepting the Indian Union on the assurance that the internal autonomy of Manipur would be maintained. This internal autonomy means the autonomy which they enjoyed under the British. As I told you in the very beginning of this particular topic, in the fourth part, I told you what do we understand by princely states and what do we understand by the provinces which were under British rule. So provinces India were the places where British government has direct control over them, internal as well as external. But princely states were the states where internal autonomy was given to the rulers, that is the Maharajas, Nawabs or kings. So here Manipur wanted, okay, after the integration of Manipur with the Indian Union, but still there was a condition kept by the Maharaja that Manipur will enjoy the internal autonomy. Okay, it should be maintained. So what happened now? So on that condition, instrument of accession was signed between the government of India and Maharaja of Manipur. So now, under the pressure of public opinion, now there was a public opinion, the Maharaja held election in Manipur. As we know, when there is a Maharaja, we are following a monarchy system, or we are into a, we can say, a dictatorship where there is a rule of a king. Okay, the powers are in one hand. They don't want to give power to anyone else or to distribute or divide power or give some we can say autonomy to the people. So here, with the pressure from the public and from the people, Maharaja was forced and he had to announce an election in Manipur in June 1948. So in June 1948, there were elections held in Manipur. So Manipur was first part of India. So we can say Manipur was the first part of India to hold election based on, and the base was universal adult franchise, as you must have heard in on read in class 10th and 11th as well. According to universal adult franchise, we mean all the adults above the age of 18 are allowed to vote. They can show their choice by voting what they want. So with this help of universal adult franchise, first time elections were held in India, that was in Manipur. Although the Maharaja was not interested, but there was a lot of pressure from the public side. So thus she became constitutional monarchy. She means here Manipur. Okay. So here Manipur became constitutional monarchy because elections were held according to the constitution of India, and monarchy because still it was under the Maharaja's rule. So it was called constitutional monarchy. And third important point is the state congress wanted the merger of Manipur, but other political parties were opposed to. As I told you, Indian government had already signed an instrument of accession with Manipur, but after the election, what happened? They had already formed a I would say legislative assembly of a state where there were ruling parties as well as opposition parties. So what happened here? Congress parties, as at the center there was Congress, influence was the maximum. So here in Manipur there was a Congress party which wanted to merge with Manipur, but on the other hand there were some political parties which opposed this. The other party did not wanted Manipur to merge with India or to integrate with Indian Union. So there was a problem of princely state here. as a legislative assembly that came into existence because of election had sharp differences on that. So this legislative assembly which came into being or effect or existence after or because of the elections, there were sharp difference on that. What was the difference? Here the Congress party wanted the merger of Manipur with Indian Union, while on the other hand opposition parties were opposed to the political, or all the political parties, some of them were opposed to this idea of merging of Manipur into Indian Union. So finally, the government of India succeeded into signing a merger agreement in September. So this was a date when finally Manipur got integrated with the Indian Union. But after the integration of Manipur into as a princely state into Indian Union, this caused a lot of anger. There were a lot of anger and resentment among the people of Manipur. Okay, after this particular event had taken place. Today we shall be studying about our last part is Kashmir, an important one. You are very much familiar with this particular topic. This is most of the time at the news channels you will see the news. This issue is always going on since independence till today. Basically some changes have changed a lot, but still before 1947 Jammu and Kashmir was a princely state. So as Hyderabad was a princely state, Manipur was a princely state, in the same way Jammu and Kashmir was also a princely state, and these princely states we are studying separately because they were not ready to merge themselves with the Indian Union. So here Indian government had to work a lot and show some efforts to merge these particular princely states to the Indian Union. So what happened here? This was a princely states. It's Hindu ruler. So the king and the ruler who was a head and in charge of Kashmir region, he was a Hindu ruler and his name was Hari Singh. He did not want to merge with India. He did not wanted to merge with India, neither he wanted to merge with Pakistan, and tried to negotiate with India and Pakistan to have an independence. And he negotiated and tried to find some solution that he did not wanted to join India as a state or Pakistan as a state. He wanted to stay and he wanted to maintain an independent status for the Kashmir region or the Jammu and Kashmir region, as it was in the case of Hyderabad, where the Nawab of Hyderabad wanted an independent status for his princely state. In the same way here for Kashmir, Hari Singh also wanted an independent status for his state. Regarding integration of Kashmir, I shall be reading few points from here. As from here, the Pakistan leaders thought the Kashmir region belonged to Pakistan. So all the leaders of Pakistan, and as we have read about the Muslim League, so those people and those community, they thought that Kashmir belonged to the Pakistan, because since majority of population of state was Muslim, because the people who were in majority in this Jammu and Kashmir, the people were Muslim, but the thing was the king or the Raja was Hindu. But this is not how the people themselves saw it. But the people of Kashmir did not saw them as Muslims, but they thought of themselves as Kashmiris above all. So there was confusion. India wanted to merge Kashmir with India. Pakistan wanted to merge Kashmir with Pakistan, as most of the population in majority was Muslim. But the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they did not wanted to merge with any of these two states, and they wanted to have an independent identity, and that identity was they were Kashmiris above all. That's why it's written here. In October 1947, Pakistan sent tribal infiltrators. This we can say is like a group to attack people. So Pakistan sent tribal infiltrators from its side to capture Kashmir. To capture Kashmir, Pakistan now wanted to forcefully capture Kashmir region. This forced the Maharaja. So when Maharaja saw that Pakistan has attacked on his territory or his princely state, here Maharaja Hari Singh was forced to ask help from Indian military or Indian government. Here he was forced, so he went to Indian government. For that, India extended the military force. So India was ready to support Maharaja Hari Singh to protect its territory from Pakistan's attack. Here India extended a military force and dropped back. and Indian military was successful in driving back the infiltrators from Kashmir Valley. But this was the India supported military force and sent military force only when the Maharaja had signed an instrument of accession. Here Maharaja, that is Hari Singh, had signed an instrument of accession with government of India. After that only Indian government had sent its military forces to protect the territory of Maharaja. And according to instrument of accession, he agreed to integrate its territory with India. But along with that instrument of accession, it was also agreed and decided that once the situation normalizes, the view of the people of Jammu Kashmir will be ascend about their future. Once the things will be normalized, the choice of the people of the Jammu and Kashmir will be asked what they want in their future. Okay, so this was the story where and how Jammu and Kashmir as a princely state merged with Indian state or the Indian Union. So I hope you have understood this topic, and I shall be giving you assignment based on this topic, and we'll do the next part of the chapter in the next video. Till then, thank you.